Hello, can everyone hear me? If you there's a poll on the screen. If you just click yes or no. Sorry about all of that. We had some troubles getting the presentation started. So if you can hear me, press yes. So I think that everyone can hear me. So that's great. So hello everyone, welcome to this webinar. My name is Jonathan and I work for the Higher Education Outreach Network, which we shorten to HEON. We mainly work with students from Surrey and Hampshire, and we offer impartial advice about higher education. And we work with universities, colleges and organisations in Surrey and Hampshire. So I work at Royal Holloway, but you can also see some of the other partner institutions at the bottom of the slide. So what is the aim of this webinar? So we're going to go through some information on the universities and colleges admissions service, and we will be covering the following: what UCAS is, how to make your choice of course, tips for writing personal statements, information about your reference, and what happens when you submit your application. Now, two things before we start. We're going to have a little question and answer session at the end of the seminar, so please save any questions you have until then. And also, and this is quite important, there's a short survey at the end where you can let us know how helpful this webinar has been in increasing both your UCAS knowledge and your confidence in writing your personal statement. And in this survey, we'll ask you a few questions, but we'll also ask you for your postcode. So please do provide this. We don't need your address. We just need a postcode so as to know what area in the UK that you're from, because it's important for us at HEON to know if we're working with young people from areas where historically people do or do not tend to go to university. So I think we're going to do a very quick poll again. I just want to know, have you started your UCAS application? So again, there's going to be a poll up on your screens. Let me know if you've started your UCAS application by clicking yes or no. Okay, so it looks like the vast majority or all of you have, so that's fantastic. So you're well on your way to getting this application submitted. Hopefully I'll be able to help you going forward. So you probably know most of this, but we'll go through it just in case you don't. So UCAS stands for the Universities and Colleges Admissions Service. It's the service that processes university applications and sends them off to universities. It hosts conventions or fairs, and these are huge events with a large number of universities attending. If you haven't attended, I strongly recommend you attend these. I mean, you might have already missed it if you're applying for 2019, but don't worry if you have missed these, because you can still go to visit universities and have a look around. Probably best would be to visit them on one of their open days, and of course you can do plenty of your university research online. But if you are applying for 2020, then in 2019 make sure you attend some UCAS fairs between March and July. So each of you will be making applications for university courses via UCAS, and included in your application will be some personal information, education and employment history, a personal statement and a reference, and we'll go through the application process in a bit more detail later on. Once you've applied, UCAS then allows you to track your offers, and then lastly there's a small fee to pay to UCAS as a processing fee. This is £13 to make a single choice or £24 for multiple choices, and you can make up to 5. So this is kind of what the UCAS process looks like. So first you're going to register, and you'll input your personal details and any other additional information, just basic information about yourselves, like your name, email address, date of birth, things like that. You'll also make your choices, of course. As I said before, you can make up to 5 course choices, but you don't need to necessarily use up all of them. You will also detail your education and employment. So education will of course be your GCSE results and any other relevant qualifications that you've received or you're currently studying for. And employment includes any part-time jobs you've held while studying or full-time jobs if you're applying after you've already left school. You'll also submit the personal statement, and this will be a short statement about why you should be given a place at university studying the course of your choice. And also included in the application process will be the submission of a reference. So this will be written by a teacher, personal tutor, or head of sixth form, and it will back up your application and kind of vouch for why you will do well at university. So on to making choices. I think right at the beginning of this process, you need to think about your reasons for wanting to go to university. So ask yourself, why do I want to continue in my studies and undertake learning at degree level? Maybe it's because you're passionate about a subject, maybe you're eager to be challenged at such a level of education. And perhaps you should also think about your future career as well. Is university the best pathway to where you want to be? Or perhaps you want to do a job that needs a certain degree, such as doctor. Then you should look into the specific university courses that you could study. Is there one to which you want to dedicate what will likely be 3 years of your life? Very good news is there's plenty to choose from. So UCAS, you'll find that there's currently over 50,000 courses in obviously a very wide range of fields. You should also look into university life as well. So maybe have a look at what university students are saying about their experience. You could have a think about what your spare time as a student would be like. Maybe you could look into what the social activities are like at the universities that you're interested in or the surrounding areas. Also, you could think, do you have any hobbies or interests that you'll be able to continue at the studies you're looking at? Then it's obviously very important to find out the entry requirements for courses you're interested in, and you really have to be honest to yourself when you ask yourself the question, are these attainable? And also there might be other things that you need. So for instance, if you're interested in doing an art course, many art courses will ask for a portfolio. And a number of university departments also will commonly interview applicants. So look into any extras you need to provide. And also, one of the best ways to find out if a particular university or university in general is the right option for you is by attending open days. I mentioned this a few minutes ago. So definitely look these up and go and see what universities are like. You'll probably get the chance to speak to both current students and tutors, so you can really get a good feel of what it's like to live and study there. Another thing to consider would be location, of course. So do you want to be close to home or as far away as possible, perhaps even abroad? You need to ask yourself, do you want to live in a city or a less urban location? And lastly, but very importantly, also make sure you consider the financial side of university. So first things first really is you should definitely have a look into how student finance works. Now, I think we're going to be covering that in the webinar on the 5th of December, student finance. So do register and join us for that one. Also look into, on the question of finances, look into bursaries and scholarships that are offered by organisations and universities themselves. So that might help you with funding your university life. So How should you make your choices? Well, we've already discussed there's a number of different things you need to consider when it comes to choosing the perfect university, but the main and degree, but the main ones are that it offers you what you want to study. Its entry requirements match or are close to matching your predicted grades, and it's located where you want to be. And if you kind of tick those 3 boxes, that particular university is probably going to be a very suitable choice for you. So UCAS gives you the chance to make a maximum of 5 choices. I'm sure you know this, and you can either choose 5 different universities, the same university multiple times, or a mix of both. So as you can see, I've just done a couple of examples. With the first method, someone definitely wants to study history and has chosen a number of universities in the southeast that offer it. Whereas in the second, someone clearly wants to study at the University of Surrey, so has applied for 3 different but similar courses there, and then they've made up their 4th and 5th choices to study history at other universities. So I think it would be good to start talking about the personal statement. Firstly, a very important question. What is the personal statement? And I'm very sorry about the GIFs. That is the last one I will use, I promise. So what is the personal statement? It gives you the chance to put a personal stamp on your UCAS application. UCAS is largely made up of your grades and scores, and so this is your chance to present your personality. The statement is a short piece of only 4,000 characters, which include letters, numbers, symbols, and spaces, or 47 lines, so it's quite short. You should, of course, attempt to stand out and be different, so don't just use easy, throwaway, cliched lines. Make sure you're positive and enthusiastic, because this is the university's first impression of you. And at the same time, make sure you're to the point and concise. Make sure every sentence is worth it. So as a little tip, I would suggest that when you're proofreading your statement, read each line out loud and assess whether they are useful or not. So what would you include in your personal statement? Well, I think it'd be sensible to split the focus, and your personal tutors or anyone who's assisting you might tell you different, but this is what I think is a good way to do it. It should be around 75% dedicated to academic content, I think, and around 25% to extracurricular activities. With the academic portion, you need to think why, what, and where. So you need to write about why you want to study that course, what in particular interests you, and where did that interest come from. Also, admissions tutors want to know what you know already about that subject. They don't expect you to be an expert, but they want to see some evidence that you have a good understanding of your subject. And you should demonstrate that you already have some research or learning-based skills. So you could, for instance, discuss some of your own independent reading in the subject area. And then extra or supercurricular content could include work experience, particularly if it can be linked to your chosen studies, and makes for a much stronger application. So for instance, if you want to study politics and you've worked for your local council, or perhaps worked for a local MP, then obviously it would be good to mention it. Similarly, any activities that are related to your subject should also be mentioned. It would be good to bring up your career aspirations. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be a specific job title or exactly where you want to be, but you could outline your general career ambitions and why your course choice would help you achieve them. Also include any kind of general hobbies or interests. All experience really can be used if you break it down into key skills. So for example, playing for a sports club has improved your ability to work as part of a team, or volunteering to support younger students with their studies has improved your interpersonal skills. So something like that. The skills are always much more important than the examples. examples. So don't just list everything you've ever done. It's much better to have a few examples, I think, that detail your large range of abilities. Okay. So your personal statement should also be well structured. Now, there's a number of ways to do this, but I'm going to go through two distinct types with you now. These are the ones that I think are particularly good. So first, there's what we can call a tree structure. Now, in this structure, the main theme of your personal statement is the subject that you're applying for, and it runs right the way through the statement. And then you have each section, which we've split into 4 here. These will directly relate to how you would be the perfect candidate for your chosen course. And so just to be really clear here, a section on A levels will refer back to the subject you're applying for. A section on career prospects refers back to the subject you're applying for. A section on extracurricular activity and part-time work refers back to the subject you're applying for. And obviously, a section on your knowledge of the subject will automatically refer to the subject you're applying for. Okay, so that's one particular structure. Another structure, and a little bit simpler, more basic, is the flow structure. In this one, you split your statement into 4 paragraphs, each focusing on a different aspect of your ability to succeed at university. So you'll have an introduction where you'll show your interest in the course. And then you'll have a paragraph where you demonstrate your subject knowledge. And this will be followed by one which includes any relevant extracurricular activities, and finally one to conclude where you state your future aspirations and career goals, for instance. As I said, more simplistic model, but it is still a clear structure that's been proven to work, and it keeps you on a kind of linear track. So things that you should avoid: definitely don't use cliches. So quite a big thing that admissions tutors are looking for is originality, especially in the first few lines. So UCAS were a little bit naughty in 2015, and they released examples of the most common opening lines in personal statements. I think it was for that year, but I might be wrong on that. But so they released the examples of the most common opening lines in personal statements. So 1,779 applications started with, from a young age, I have always been interested in or fascinated by. So don't start it with that if everyone else is, okay? 1,451 said, for as long as I can remember, I have, and then carried on. So try not to use that one. 1,370 said, I'm applying for the course because, that's not a particularly good one or imaginative one. I have always been interested in, that was 927, so these are dropping off now. And then also 310 said, throughout my life, I have always enjoyed. Okay, so you kind of get the picture. Now, these might be useful in the first instance, like when you're just beginning to write your statement, but do try and replace them before you submit. Admissions tutors are going to read through hundreds of personal statements a year, and you want your application to stand out. So onto your reference as well, and this is pretty important as well, I think. This will be written by a teacher, personal tutor, or head of sixth form. Your personal tutor will probably be best placed to tell you exactly who it will be. And it includes information about you and is often compiled by subject reports. It details some of your personal achievements, your personal qualities, academic potential, things like that. And it will also include some kind of non-academic information about yourself. But I think it's important to discuss this because what's a particularly good idea would be the reference writer needs to know you well, or at least knows what you want to study and why. So now, if you haven't already, it'd be a good idea to get to know your reference writer as well as you can. And the more they know about you, I think, the better the reference will be. Okay. So let's have a look at submitting your application. Here are some key dates for you. The first 3 have already passed, but might be useful to any Year 12s who are watching. So during the summer, it's the perfect time to do a bit of research, bulk up your application by getting some experience, either working or volunteering. It's also a good time to decide on a course or courses, make a short list maybe of universities you want to study at. Then UCAS opened at the beginning of September, as I'm sure you know, and the early entry for Oxbridge and medicine related degrees was the 15th of October. And you should probably know that the general application deadline is the 15th of January. But do check the courses that you're applying for, as there are a few courses that have different application deadlines, so do make sure you check, but it's a huge minority of them. And then results are released from July until August, as you can see the different dates there. And then 31st of August is when adjustment closes, and we'll discuss this shortly. And 20th of September is when the whole thing ends, the final for entry in 2019. So what happens to your UCAS application if you don't know? Well, you send your application to UCAS. They then send this off to individual universities. Applications will go to university admissions teams, and admission tutors will read through each application and send a response. And responses usually take between 2 and 4 weeks, and then they're sent to UCAS Track, which is where you can view them. And so these responses, you're going to have 3 possible responses from each university you apply to. There'll be the conditional, the unconditional, and the unsuccessful. So the conditional means you've got a place at university if you fulfill certain conditions, like attaining certain grades or by passing an interview. And if you receive multiple conditional offers, you can make a firm and an insurance choice. The firm will be your first preference, and the insurance will be your choice should you not fulfill the conditions of your firm. Then, if you're lucky enough, you might get an unconditional offer, and this means that you've been offered a place at a university with no conditions, meaning that if you accept that place, you are committed to that course at that university. And it tends to be the case that unconditional offers are often given to students with excellent grades or exceptional talent. And then one which I hope none of you receive is the unsuccessful response, and that unfortunately means you have not been offered a place at that university. For what it's worth, the universities might send you some feedback, but if they don't, then you can request this from them. So there are some alternative options, and these are important if you don't get what you want. So these are all relatively new to UCAS, apart from clearing, which has been around for quite a while. But UCAS Extra, if you're unsuccessful with all 5 institutions that you've applied to, UCAS Extra will give you the option to have one more choice. So it's a kind of, I don't know, yeah, it just, you get a 6th and final choice should you be unlucky enough to get to have all unsuccessful responses from universities, and this will be available between February and July. Then there's UCAS Clearing, which most of you probably know about. So if you don't hold any offers, or if you do not meet the conditions of your firm or insurance choices, then Clearing gives you a chance to apply for any available courses. And this opens up in July and closes in early September, but the kind of busiest day of Clearing is undoubtedly A-level results day, okay? And then there's also UCAS Adjustment. So this is kind of contrary to the title of this page. This is if you achieve higher grades than those that were required by your firm choice, adjustment allows you the chance to apply to a course with higher grades. So if you do much better than you were originally thought you were going to do, you could go to a university which is asking for higher grades. This is available after A-level results day and up until the end of August. So I think then lastly, what are the different ways to prepare for making your application? Well, you should go to ucas.com, I'm sure you already have, check out the courses available. It will have all UK courses on there. Again, hopefully you've already done this, but you should attend some open days, as many as you can, so you can work out what type of university and location feels most suitable for you and your needs. Obviously, get lots of prospectuses from a number of universities. You read about and compare courses, social activities, career prospects, and anything that's important to you. Make shortlists, I think, of universities. Perhaps start with 10 and then whittle these down to 5. And also read reviews on the student room. There's also push.co.uk, and you can also, quite important to some people, is the National Student Survey. So you can see university scores on that, which will give you an idea about student satisfaction at a particular university. And also just start preparing. So you need to get your UCAS application filled out. You need to be drafting your personal statement, or at the very least have some ideas about what you want to include. So I think that's it. So thanks for listening. But if you have any questions in particular, they can be put into the questions tab on the right hand of your screen. You should be able to see that. And so I will open up mine to see if you write any questions. And while you're thinking about writing these, or if you've got any comments as well, you can write that. But as I said at the beginning, while you're thinking, we've got a little survey for you guys just after this, so please fill that out. And remember, again, there's another webinar on the 5th of December where we'll discuss some more issues on the process, and as I said, we'll discuss student finance, and also it'd be good to visit our website, which is www.heon.org.uk, and you can find more resources, some additional information, or even watch this webinar again. So I think there is a question. Does your predicted grade get put onto UCAS? So yes, this will be included in your reference. So when you're filling out, let's say you're doing A-levels, when you're filling out your education section, you will say studying A-level history, A-level English, A-level maths, whatever, and you will, I think, put pending as the result. And then in your reference, your reference writer will be including your predicted grades for those subjects. So yeah, it's a good question. Any more questions, guys? If not, then I will leave it there and just ask you to fill out the survey that's about to come up. Oh, no, here's another question. That's great. Let's see. I don't know how to make this. Oh, that's better. So a letter. So if there's a letter, letters that support your application, how do I send that to UCAS? Well, there is definitely ways in which you can send UCAS anything, whether it's letters or qualifications that they don't have listed on their kind of drop-down screens. So there will be ways in which you can do that. I'm not particularly sure the method in which you do that, but you definitely can. So any supporting documents can be sent to UCAS. I would check on the UCAS website to get the answer as to how to specifically send it. But yeah, you will be able to do it. Any more questions? I think on that question as well, I think the easiest way to do it will be a supporting documents page, but I'm not entirely sure that that still exists on UCAS, on the UCAS application. But yeah, but you still will be able to send off supporting documents. Any more? There is. Okay, hold on. Oh, when do you apply for accommodation? Well, you do that when you have either accepted an offer from a university, and then you will be contacted by that university saying, welcome, you know, these are all your options, it's great, it's going to be great to see you, etc., etc. And in that will be in that kind of welcome message will be information about accommodation. So that will come after you've accepted an offer from university. Any more questions? No? Okay, all right guys, so we're going to start this survey now, and so thanks for listening again. And just very quickly, this webinar will be, we've got a recording of this, and so it will be on the HEON website if you missed anything or want to go over anything that I said. Okay, thanks for listening.